Hey, how's it going, folks? Welcome to the Coach's Corner, live here at Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery. We're live here on Heart of Ohio Sports. Please do us a favor. Like, follow, subscribe. That all helps us a lot. But if you're watching with us, please share the video with all of your friends. Helps us reach new audiences. I'm here with our special guest this week, Hopewell-Loudon Chieftains head football coach, Brian Colatruglio. How we doing, Coach?
Awesome. Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for spending time with us. I know you got a busy schedule.
Yeah, a little bit.
But I appreciate you spending some time with us here at Benchwarmers. Once again, Coach's Corner brought to you by Xcaret Mexican Restaurant, Your Legacy Federal Credit Union, Drawn to the Surface Tattoo and Piercing Studio, as well as our friends here at Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery. All right, Coach, so here we are. This is your 10th year back at Hopewell-Loudon. Can you believe it?
No.
Took over in 2016. You were at Columbian for 7 seasons.
Yeah.
Now, does it feel like it's been 10 years? I mean,
no, it's hard to, even imagine that. I'm obviously just in my own kids. My daughter was a 7th grader, and my son was a 3rd grader when we went back, and now I got a senior in college and a senior in high school, and holy cow, it just seems like it. Yeah,
it flies.
It's gone really fast. Yeah, without a doubt.
Sure. Now, you crossed the 200 career wins mark last year.
Yep.
Talk about what that meant to you, and I mean, when you look back on it now, you've had a little bit of time to kind of think about it.
No, it's just for me, it was just a reflection of all the coaches and all the kids that had some part of it, and I think about. We didn't win a lot of games at Van Buren back in the early 2000s, but that was the first job, and just some unbelievable good kids and families and coaches, and just all the way through. We've been blessed. We've had some great players. A lot of the coaches that I have that have been either all of those or the majority of those together. So for me, it's just a. It's never a personal thing. It's just kind of a chance, to show just the great players and coaches that I've been blessed to be around, and it's a credit to all of them. They've all had some part of that and been a piece of it, and it means I'm getting old. So when you've been doing it as long as I have, you really do start really thinking about and appreciating some of those kids. And my brother and I have been, he's part of every one of them. Brad Snyder has been a part of all of them but 11. So, when we start sitting around and talk about, remember this kid, and it's pretty special.
I'm sure there's a few of those kids probably watching right now.
Yeah, there might be. Yeah. A lot of them have kids of their own now.
That's right.
Yeah, no, that's
a testament, though, to what the culture that you're able to build.
Yeah.
At Hopewell-Loudon, just wherever you go, to have the same coaches follow you.
Yeah.
I mean, to have that same culture, that coaching staff intact from when you started. Talk about just what it means to you to have everybody still around you.
I'll be honest. I do less now than I've ever done. Because we've had so many coaches that have been together. I know a lot of staff spend hours and hours meeting, and we don't have to do that. And we show up, and I know what those guys are going to do. They know what needs to be done, and we let them do it. And it's a great atmosphere to coach in and to be a part of. And I know I'm lucky. I'm friends with a lot of guys that are head coaches that don't have what I have, and I know the ramming their head against the wall trying to keep a staff together, and how hard it is to find quality people. And man, I know I'm lucky, and but yeah, it really is great, and it's great. They're great friends. I mean, I spend so much time with those guys when it is over every year. I mean, I swear I'm depressed for about a month because I just, you're around these guys nonstop for hours and hours a week, and when it's over, and my wife doesn't like me when I come home after all that stuff. So, but yeah.
Well, Coach, I want to take you back. 2000, what was it, 6 and 7, or was it 7 and 8?
7 and 8.
7 and 8. You took the Chieftains to the state championship game back-to-back years. Now, when you think back to those teams, how does this year's team stack up?
Well, it's different. I mean, back in those, it was a little bit different game. I mean, the offense and defensive linemen that we've had the last 3 or 4 or 5 years at Hopewell-Loudon, we never had size and the quality of linemen that we have now. Back then, I mean, it was completely different in how we did, and the games changed. I mean, kids kids are bigger, faster, stronger than they were at that time. So it's, it's hard to compare, but, I really do. I mean, I think the 21 team is, I still think that's probably the best team I ever coached. And, now, so we just ran into Marion Local, and it was a different animal than us. But as far as, size, speed, just being able to do everything, I still think that team. Now, the 07-08 team, those kids were just winners. And, it's awesome because a lot of those guys now have kids. And, I see them coming in, bringing their kids into the preschool and kindergarten. And, a lot of them are still involved in our community. And now they're bringing their kids to the games. And, it's just I'll never forget those guys, and it was a really special couple years there.
There's definitely a sense of pride in that community, not just for those years, but just for the culture and everything that you've built there. Now, Chieftains Stadium's been rocking this year. Your players really feed off that energy, man. We were there just a couple of weeks ago. You guys put up a bunch of points. Now, talk about how great it is playing in front of such a passionate fan base.
Yeah, no, it's great, and our facility isn't the best, clearly. But man, with all those people sitting on the hill, and when you come down there, and all the people standing on the ropes, people are close, and it's a great environment. I wish the rest of our facility was a little nicer, but as far as the environment and the passion of our fan base, it's great, and you can tell with our kids. Our kids come from really good families. They have great support at home, which, makes our job a lot easier.
And even though you might have limited facilities, you're teaching these kids to do the best with what they have.
Yeah, no, we embrace it.
Got to be adaptable.
No, we embrace it. We hear the teams come in there, they make fun of our practice field, they make fun of our locker rooms, and we hear that stuff, and it's we embrace it. We have a dirty, dusty weight room, and our practice field is not nice, and but we're going to get tough, and we're going to come at you. So we embrace it, and we take pride in that.
Absolutely. So speaking of Chieftains Stadium, I can't help but notice there's a group of folks across the creek on Friday nights having themselves a nice little campfire and they enjoying the game. Now, how long has that been going on?
It's been a little bit.
And what's the price for admission to the campfire on a cold night?
I don't know.
Because, man, that's got to be one of the best seats in the house.
Yeah, but it irritates me. They let the train horn from Cary in over there. That's starting to annoy me a little bit. I don't know what those people are paying to let them bring their stuff in there. But no, they've been out there for a while now, and it is. I quit coaching, I'm going to go hang out over there.
Yeah, that's a good spot to watch a football game, that's for sure. I want to talk to you about this group of seniors. Who out of this group has really stepped up compared to where they were as a freshman coming in? Talk about the biggest leap.
We have a bunch. We have some guys that have really stepped into bigger roles this year. Then guys like Eli Benner, Ethan Link. Again, and these aren't the guys that are getting their names in the paper. But these are the guys who stuck it out for 4 years and never been the stars or the best players on our team. But Jason Kramer, that's the one. Yeah, he's a kid who he struggled with some grades and struggled just getting to school, and man, all of a sudden now he's turned himself into a great kid, and he's been a really good player for us, and he's gonna have he's gonna be successful beyond football. And when he was a freshman, I don't know if we knew that.
That's awesome.
No, he's the one that is really that's a great story.
Cool. Yep. I coached him in youth football as a 5th and 6th grader with the Eagles.
Cool.
So he's a great kid.
Yeah.
He was a good kid back then. I knew he had some talent. He just was kind of shy. At the time, he just needed to come out of his shell. And I'm just so glad to see him be the best version of himself, because you really see him. He's putting himself out there.
We need him.
I've seen him.
He's been really good for us.
He was at the Heritage Festival serving up ice cream for the Smitty's truck. I thought that was pretty cool. So he's putting himself out there.
Yep.
Now, your defense, I want to talk about this. They've been so dominant this year. 2 shutouts. You're allowing just under 6 points per game. Talk about that group, just the level they're performing at.
Yeah, and that was our group. A lot of experience there. Mason Reinhardt has he's played every play at middle linebacker since I think about week 6 his freshman year. Aiden Ewald, 3-year starter. He's one of the best D linemen I've ever coached anywhere at any level. So those two in the middle, and obviously the experience in our secondary, Jack and Brody Brickman have been really good in the secondary for us. So, that we knew coming in we had a chance to be a really good defensive football team, and I think we've lived up to that. And
yeah,
again, that's my brother. I mean, I coach nothing. I have nothing to do with defense. I blow the whistle on Tuesdays. That's it. He puts a plan together, and our coaches go out and teach it, and our kids have executed it, flawlessly. And that's the heart of our team. And
yeah,
our quarterbacks, receivers, running backs usually they get the press, they get the name in the paper, but we're a good football team because of our defense.
And when we talked in the preseason, you told me that. You knew that was going to be the thing that you could lean on this year. You could lean on that defense, and you've trusted them in multiple situations where maybe a fourth down situation, you maybe might not be going for it if you didn't trust your defense, but you've known all year that's something that you can lean on. Now, how do you balance playing some of these veteran players, giving the seniors the time that they deserve, with also giving some experience to some of these younger guys?
Yeah, we've tried to, we play quite a few guys. We try to play 6-7 defensive linemen when we can, and offensively I think we play a lot of different guys in different personnel groups. So we don't have a ton of guys that play every single play both ways. So and the reality of it, we have had a few games where it starts to gets out of hand a little bit, and that's great for our younger guys because they do get they get a lot of time under the lights, and you kind of get to see them on film. And but no, it's we want to play as many guys as we can that can play at the level that we need them to.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you think back on those first 6 games, what's kind of the one thing that stands out to you the most that maybe you weren't expecting?
We've won a lot of different ways. Obviously, when Jack was out the first couple games, so we had to adjust and adapt. And I think our run game was really solid. Brody really stepped up in those games. And then now Kellen's been out for a few weeks now. We've had to kind of figure out and adapt and play without him. So it's kind of the different ways. We haven't played our best in all 3 phases every game. But we've really we've adapted to what we've needed to do from week to week, and I don't, and this isn't a surprise, but I love the mental makeup of our team. I mean, there's been several times, Cary, they scored first, Pleasant, they scored first, Edison scored twice in about 30 seconds to tie the game, and our kids just don't flinch.
They don't.
They've bounced back every time and responded, and I think that's the thing that really just sticks out to us is, maybe it hasn't always been the prettiest, but when we've needed to make plays offensively or defensively, we've done that. Yeah,
and that's the one thing that stood out to me when we were there a couple weeks ago. We were there. You guys turned the ball over on your first offensive drive,
right.
But go back out and get the 3 and out you need, get the ball back, and then you march right down the field, just pick up where you left off. So, and once again, resilient. That's kind of what your defense has been known for over the years, but the whole 3 phases of your team this year, everything coming together, it's been impressive to watch, Coach.
Thank you.
So we're going to step aside, take a quick timeout, but when we come back, we'll talk about the matchup between Hopewell-Loudon and Margaretta, homecoming night this Friday night, and you'll find it right here on Heart of Ohio Sports. Once again, the Coach's Corner brought to you by Xcaret Mexican Restaurant, your Legacy Federal Credit Union, Drawn to the Surface Tattoo and Piercing Studio, as well as our friends here at Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery. We'll be right back after this. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Heart of Ohio Sports.
My stomach is messed up.
The game's almost over. Can't you wait?
No, I gotta go right now.
Wow, really?
Swung on, hit to center, well hit. back, and this one's gone. A home run for Connor Moyer on an 0-2
Needed
pitch.
that.
Smokes it to dead center. That's
Oh,
probably at least
man, are you
360.
kidding me?
It happens. Never miss a moment. Heart of Ohio Sports. Stop down to Benchwarmers in Tiffin or call it in for delivery. Fresh cut fries, locally sourced ingredients, and phenomenal service. Give the Tiffin store a call at 567-268-9268 and place your delivery order now. Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery.
Welcome to your Legacy Federal Credit Union, your trusted community credit union for over 70 years. We're not just a credit union, we're your personal financial counselor. Your Legacy Federal Credit Union is a full-service financial institution tailoring solutions to your needs. Whether it's your first home or planning for the future, we're here to help you find success. Your Legacy Federal Credit Union, a legacy built on trust, commitment, and community.
Your legacy.
You're locked into the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Heart of Ohio Sports. All right, and we're back here with the Coach's Corner live here on Heart of Ohio Sports. We're here at Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery. Folks, if you've got an order, put it in now. You can come on out here and join us. There's still plenty of time. They close at 9, but if you want, call in your order, pickup or delivery. Place your order now here at Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery. Tell them Heart of Ohio Sports sent you. All right, Coach, let's talk about this matchup.
Yep.
Undefeated versus 5-1 Margaretta, homecoming night. Now, they're coming into this one on a roll. 5 straight. They've scored 35 or more in their last 4 games. What is the key to slowing this offense down?
Well, they're much improved. They're much improved on the line of scrimmage. They had a really good group of skilled kids now that they've had together for a couple of years. They're good.
Yeah.
Honestly, the matchups last year, we dominated the line of scrimmage, and they're much improved there. So again, that's going to be it's kind of always the key in football, but for us to be able to control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball and slow their run game down and keep and again they have some speed, keeping their receivers in front of us. I mean, it's always the same recipe for us. We want to play tough against the run and don't give up big plays in the pass game, but they're a much improved team, and like you said, you can just see their confidence in the way they're playing, and it's a different vibe for them this year.
Oh, for sure. And that was a close game last year. Was it 16-7 was the final in that
the first
one?
time, yeah.
So, I mean, their offense has looked really good. Yep. They haven't turned the ball over since week 2.
Yep.
Now, you guys have a takeaway in every game this year.
Yep.
What do you think is the key to creating turnovers? Obviously, you're not the defensive coach, but what is the key when you see, how do you create turnovers?
Well, you get a lot of guys around the ball. You get hats to the ball in the run game, and gang tackle and those kind of things happen, and and discipline, and I think we do a good job of dropping underneath stuff and getting after the quarterback. A lot of times quarterback's under pressure and he's not going to be as accurate, and we've really benefited from some errant throws and in the pass game, but a lot of that is caused by the pressure that we can get up front.
Yeah, and you can get a lot of pressure up front. I want to talk a little bit about that matchup in the trenches because your line's been dominant on both sides of the ball. Now, you talked about that. Polar Bear front, they've been improved.
Yeah.
What do you talk about that test? I mean, that's a big test at hand in the week. I mean, you got a big test in the trenches this week.
No, we're going to challenge. We challenge our guys right from the start. Saturday morning it started. I mean, this is a championship game. I mean, we know what this is the best team that we have left on our schedule by far. They're the only team left that's undefeated in our conference, and we challenge our guys right from the beginning. So they're going to come in and they're going to test us. They're going to test our physical play, and we're going to have to be ready to go to fight back. Again, with kind of the role we've been on, there are a lot of teams in our conference, and honestly, they don't really fight back a whole lot. I think they accept their fate a little bit. Yeah. Margaretta's going to fight back, and we made that very clear from the start. This team is, they're there's a lot of kids in there that they're part of their very successful basketball team. There's a lot of really good, successful track kids. I mean, these kids have, they have pride, and they're going to fight us. So, we got to be ready to match that right from the beginning.
Now they bring a really talented rushing attack into Bascom. They're averaging over 250 yards per game, led by senior running back Judah Keller. As a team, they're averaging about 8 yards per carry. What do you think has been the biggest key to their success on the ground?
Yeah, the versatility. They have multiple guys. It's not just, okay, we can take away this guy and we're going to be all right. And they also have the threat. They have 2 really good receivers that are fast and pretty athletic. And, if you just can't sell out to stop the run. You have to play them honest. And, I think that's part of the reason that they've been successful. And, they have a Hall of Fame coach and some pretty talented players, and they do a really good job of finding the mismatches and taking advantage of them. So again, we're going to have to be really disciplined in what we're doing. Wing T stuff. If your eyes are bad, if you're not focused on what you're supposed to be focused on, they can gash people, and that's what they've done.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I post on social media for our Heart of Ohio Sports pages, and I just happened to be scrolling on one of their pages and noticed that the Polar Bears varsity, I guess it's their Barstool account, they're claiming 5 straight shutouts on social media, that their varsity defense has had 5 straight shutouts. Do you use things like this as bulletin board? Honestly, you don't, but do you ever see the kids in the locker room being like...
I try not to watch or pay attention to any of
I know you don't, but I'm saying, like, when you're in the locker room,
I'm talking about our kids. I don't pay
good.
attention to what they're looking at either.
All right, good. That's good. As a coach, I kind of figured you weren't.
No, that stuff there.
Yeah,
I don't.
Hey,
I don't
there you go. It's out there.
No, I'm sure it is.
I was going to say, is that the kind of things that I'm sure you've taught them certain things
we try
off the field?
That's kind of what you're probably telling your guys, though, is like, don't put that kind of stuff out there.
Right. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not always our guys who have control of those accounts. So.
That's true. That's very true. Now, they were able to limit a Woodmore offense that's been averaging over 300 yards per game on the ground. They had just 53 yards rushing last week. Now, what are the areas of focus this week in practice with such a tough defense?
Well, for us, it's balance. I think that's the one thing that we can bring that maybe they haven't dealt with. They've played some teams who are pretty good at running the ball. They've played some teams that throw it a lot. I don't know if they've faced an offense that can do both. And we always feel that's that's our advantage, and that's the one thing we really strive for is it's hard to take away all of it. So. If you can be tough and run physical inside, if you can get on the perimeter, if you can make plays throwing the ball, then you're much tougher to defend. So, we're going to keep trying to do what we do, and we know who our playmakers are, and we're going to do what we can to get those guys the ball.
Absolutely. Now, quarterbacks aren't faring very well against their secondary this year.
Yeah.
They've only allowed 2 passing touchdowns. They've got 8 interceptions through the air.
Yep.
What makes them so good against the pass? What can you do to kind of negate some of that?
They have really good athletes, and it's the same guys. They're group of receivers and running backs. And, they're also their linebackers and secondary, and they have good athletes. They have good speed. They have they're really, and they're well coached. So it's going to be like I said, it's going to be a battle, and we're really going to really have to execute on the offensive side of the ball too, and always third down. I mean that's always so important for us. I think with our offensive line and our guys running the ball, we can really kind of wear teams, and the only way you can do that is convert third downs and be able to keep running plays, and that's going to be huge. It's going to be the key to the game, honestly. I think on both sides. Obviously turnovers, but. The other part is third downs on offense and defense. Who can keep their offense on the field, and who can get off the field. That's going to be a big difference maker.
That's going to be key. You heard it here, folks.
Yep.
Keys to the game right here from Coach Colatruglio. Oh, that's another thing I want to ask you. Is it Colatruglio or Colatruglio?
G silent.
G silent.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jimmy, We gotta fix that over the loudspeaker.
Yeah.
I'm just joking with you, Jimmy. I love you, man.
No, he hasn't figured that out yet either.
I wanted to make sure because I've heard him say it a few times, and I'm like, am I doing it? Am I saying it wrong?
Yeah,
I thought.
no, you're
all right,
good. You're
all right.
good.
So I want to talk matchups, Coach. Is there any
Okay.
particular matchups you think are going to be key to winning this one?
Yeah, just all of them. Like I said, our pass game against their secondary. I think that's going to be big. I mean, both teams are really good against the run, and who can have success throwing the ball is probably going to be, the team that wins, and it's a lot of the same guys. Our secondary and receivers against their secondary and receivers. I think it's going to be a big matchup.
So there you go. Now you guys played in some close games. You played in some lopsided games.
Yep.
I know you prefer a little breathing room, but talk about how some of those close games kind of prepare your team, not just for conference play, but also you got postseason play coming up.
There's no doubt our schedule prepares us for this type of game. Our non-conference games that we've played. We had to go on the road at Gibsonburg. We've played 4 really good teams out of our 6 games, and I think physical teams, and that again, and we've come out okay. So. I think that definitely prepares our guys, and we know what we have to bring our level up to play in this type of game, and we have that experience. These guys have played a lot of football. They've played in a lot of playoff games. They've played in a lot of big regular season games, and I fully expect. We're going to play at a very high level. If they're going to beat us, they're going to have to play really, really good.
Yeah, I think so too. Now, Coach, last question for you. Yep. What's your message to Chieftain Nation?
Well, just keep coming out, keep supporting us, and be a difference maker on Friday night. We're looking forward to a big crowd, and we love the support, and our guys are going to give everything they got, and we want to see you there.
All right. Well, once again, Coach, I appreciate your time.
Thanks,
Thank
man.
you.
Yep.
Thank you
Thanks
once
for having
again for taking some time out of your busy schedule, because
no
not
problem.
just a coach, but an AD as well. You got a busy schedule, a lot of hats you wear over there. But
away
once
volleyball
again,
tonight, so
we're
good.
No volleyball?
No,
all right,
it's
so
away.
you get a little night off. That's nice.
No, for sure.
All right, well, once again, you've been watching the Coach's Corner right here on Heart of Ohio Sports. Once again, we've been here at Benchwarmers all night, calling your order, pickup, delivery. You can still dine in for about an hour or so right here at Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery. But that's going to do it for us here tonight. I want to thank Greg the Wizard Kinn for keeping us locked in, keeping us live here on the air. Thanks once again to Coach Colatruglio for joining us here this week. Thanks to our sponsors, Xcaret Mexican Restaurant, Your Legacy Federal Credit Union, Drawn to the Surface Tattoo and Piercing Studio, as well as our friends here at Benchwarmers. Once again, thanks for tuning in here. If you have made it this far, do us a favor, share the video. Have a great night, everybody. You've been watching Heart of Ohio Sports.